Lovely viewers, welcome back once again to our channel where we dive deep into the stories that touch our hearts, surprise us, and sometimes even leave us speechless. Today we are dealing with one of those moments that no one saw coming. Hye Kyo's unexpected confession. Yes, I still think of him. And the him in question, none other than Joong. Now let's pause for a second and feel that. Imagine hearing those words from Hye Kyo, someone who has always been so careful about what she shares with the world. After years of silence, years of speculation, and years of trying to move forward, those words slipped out, and it has sent shockwaves through fans everywhere. But what does it mean? What does it tell us about her past, her present, and maybe even her future? Lovely viewers, let's break this down together. When Hye Kyo admitted that she still thinks of him, it wasn't just a casual throwaway remark. Carried weight, history, and emotion. Remember, her marriage to Joong wasn't just a relationship. It was a fairy tale romance that unfolded in front of the world. From their descendants of the sun chemistry to their stunning wedding, fans were convinced they were destined to be together forever. But then came the divorce, and the heartbreak that followed was just as public as the love story had been. So when she says she still thinks of him, it makes us wonder, are those thoughts filled with regret? With longing, with nostalgia, or perhaps just with the kind of respect and tenderness that never really disappears when someone has been such a significant part of your life? Haven't you at some point thought of someone from your past even long after moving on? That's what makes this confession so deeply relatable. It's not just about Hye Kyo and Joong, it's about all of us and the way memories linger. Now let's imagine how Joong might feel hearing this. He's moved forward. He's started a new chapter of his life, but would hearing that Hye Kyo still thinks of him stir emotions within him? Would it bring back old feelings, or would it simply make him sigh, acknowledging that some bonds never truly fade? Fans are already buzzing online saying things like, "This means she still loves him," while others argue, "It's natural to think of someone who was once so important to you." Lovely viewers, which side do you fall on? And what about Lee Min-ho, the man who is now such an important part of Hye Kyo's story? Imagine what he must be feeling knowing that his wife, or the woman he's building a future with, is admitting she still thinks of her ex. Is it something to be threatened by? Or is it simply a part of her honesty, her vulnerability? Relationships are complicated, aren't they? Sometimes we carry old memories even while loving someone new. Could this confession test their bond? Or will it make it stronger because she dared to be open? Let's think, too, about Hye Kyo's bravery. It takes courage to admit something like this in an industry where every word is dissected, where one confession can create a whirlwind of speculation. She could have stayed silent. She could have brushed off the question. But instead, she chose honesty. Maybe because she knows that pretending the past doesn't exist is more painful than acknowledging it. Don't you think that's admirable in its own way? Lovely viewers, this confession is not just about romance. It's about humanity. It's about how memories don't vanish just because life changes. It's about how love, heartbreak, and shared history leave imprints that resurface when we least expect them. And it's about how even stars who seem larger than life feel the same pull of the past that all of us do. The internet is on fire with reactions. Some fans are thrilled, saying it shows that maybe reconciliation is possible someday. Others are protective of both Hye Kyo and Joong, insisting that they deserve peace and that people shouldn't read too much into it. And then there are those who simply feel touched, because at the heart of it, this is just a woman being honest about her emotions. So, lovely viewers, what do you think? Was this a slip of the tongue, a moment of vulnerability, or a hint at something more? Do you think Hye Kyo still holds feelings for Joong, or was this simply her way of saying that some memories never fade, even when you've moved on? And if you were in Joong's shoes, how would you feel hearing those words after all these years? This is why we love sharing these stories with you, because it's not just about celebrities, it's about life, love, and the emotions we all wrestle with. Hye Kyo's confession has opened a door to reflection, for her and for us. It shows us that even after everything, even after heartbreak, it's okay to admit that certain people never fully leave your heart. Lovely viewers, thank you for joining me in unpacking this heartfelt moment. As always, your voice matters here, so share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe this confession could change the dynamics between Hye Kyo, Joong, and even Min-ho? Or is it simply a glimpse into the honesty of someone who refuses to hide her past? Let's talk about it together, because that's what makes this channel our family. A place where every story is more than just gossip, it's a chance to connect. Let's go even deeper into this unexpected confession, because the more we think about it, the more layers begin to appear. When Song Hye Kyo said, "Yes, I still think of him," she didn't just stir up emotions in her fans. She also reopened a chapter that many thought had been firmly closed. But isn't that the reality of love and life? No matter how far we move forward, there are moments, people, and memories that never truly leave us. Imagine Hye Kyo sitting there, perhaps in an interview or during a quiet chat that later became public, and those words just flow out of her. For a woman who has built a career on elegance, restraint, and privacy, the weight of this admission speaks volumes. It's almost as if she was reminding the world that behind her calm smile, there's still a woman who has lived, loved, and been deeply affected by her past. Haven't we all had moments where an old memory suddenly resurfaces and we find ourselves admitting, sometimes even to our own surprise, that we still think about it? Now let's think about Song Joong hearing these words. Whether directly or through the flood of news and social media chatter, he surely knows by now. What do you think happens in his heart at that moment? Does he feel touched, maybe even validated, knowing that he still lives in her thoughts? Or does he feel a pang of sadness, because those words bring back memories of a love that didn't last? Lovely viewers, imagine being in his position. Would you smile softly at the thought, or would it open old wounds? And let's not forget the timing of this confession. She could have said it years ago, but she chose now. Why now? Could it be because she's in a different stage of life, one where she feels freer to acknowledge her past without fear of judgment? Or is it because she's found strength in her present, perhaps with Lee Min-ho, and feels secure enough to be honest about what lingers in her heart? Sometimes, acknowledging old memories doesn't mean we want to return to them. It means we've grown enough to accept that they'll always be a part of us. Don't you think that's powerful? But here's where the tension grows, lovely viewers. How does Lee Min-ho feel about this? He is now the man by her side, the one who represents her present and possibly her future. To hear your partner confess that she still thinks about her ex must be complicated. It doesn't necessarily mean love for the ex still exists, but it does reveal that the past is not forgotten. Would Min-ho take this as a threat, or as a simple truth of human nature? Would he feel insecure, or would he embrace it as part of who Hye Kyo is? These are questions fans are asking, and they make the story all the more dramatic. The public reaction is fascinating too. On one hand, fans of the old Song couple are thrilled, saying, "This proves she still has feelings for Joong. They're romanticizing the confession, imagining the possibility of a reunion. On the other hand, supporters of her new journey argue that we shouldn't twist her words, that thinking of someone doesn't mean wanting to be with them again. After all, isn't it natural to think of someone who was once such an important part of your life? It doesn't always mean you're stuck in the past." Lovely viewers, here's where it becomes interactive with you. Think about your own lives. Have you ever admitted to yourself that you still think of someone from your past? Did that mean you still loved them, or simply that they left an imprint on your heart? Isn't it possible that Hye Kyo's confession is simply her being human, not her dropping hints of wanting something more? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this is where your perspective brings this story to life. And yet, there's something undeniably moving about her words. In a world where celebrities often pretend their past doesn't exist, Hye Kyo's honesty reminds us that it's okay to acknowledge what came before. It's okay to say, "Yes, I still think of him," without it diminishing the love you have in the present. That balance between past and present is what makes her confession so relatable, so raw, and so unforgettable. So where does this leave us? Will this confession open a new chapter of speculation between her and Joong? Will it create tension between her and Min-ho? Or will it simply stand as a reminder that even the brightest stars carry memories of love, just like the rest of us? That's the beauty of this moment, lovely viewers. It's not just gossip, it's a reflection of life itself. And as we continue to watch how this unfolds, let's remember one thing. Song Hye Kyo is not just an actress, not just a public figure. She's a woman navigating love, heartbreak, and honesty in the spotlight. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is admit the truth, even if it surprises the world. Because this confession isn't something that begins and ends in one moment. It's a ripple that continues spreading, touching every corner of her life and even the lives of those around her. The last words we shared were about bravery, about how sometimes admitting the truth, even when it surprises the world, is the most courageous thing a person can do. And now we must ask, what happens after bravery? What comes after those 4 little words? I still think of him. Echo across fans, media, and hearts worldwide. For Song Hye Kyo, it means facing the weight of interpretation. Every fan hears those words differently. Some hear romance, some hear regret, some hear longing, while others hear closure. That's the burden of being a public figure. Your words don't just belong to you anymore. They belong to the audience who shapes them, twists them, and makes them into stories of their own. And yet, doesn't that also make this confession even more human? Because she knew exactly what kind of storm her words might unleash. And still she said them. Lovely viewers, doesn't that remind you of those moments in your own life where you chose truth, even knowing it might shake the room? Now think of Song Joong Ki in the days after hearing this. Maybe he sits quietly, remembering their wedding, their laughter, the way the world once saw them as the perfect couple. Maybe her words stir an ache in him, not because he wants to go back, but because it reminds him that what they had was real, unforgettable, and worth remembering. And in his quiet reflection, perhaps he thinks to himself, yes, I think of her too sometimes. But will he ever admit that publicly? That's the difference between them. She has spoken and he remains silent. His silence, however, speaks just as loudly. And then there's Lee Min-ho, the man who has become such an integral part of Hye Kyo's present. How does he process this? Lovely viewers, let's not imagine him as jealous or petty. Let's imagine him as the strong, understanding partner that fans believe him to be. Perhaps he takes her hand after hearing her confession and simply says, I know, but you're here with me now, and that's what matters. Isn't that what love is about? Not erasing the past, but choosing each other in the present. If he responds with that kind of grace, then her confession doesn't weaken their bond, it deepens it. But there is also the reality of public pressure. Every time Hye Kyo and Min-ho appear together now, there will be whispers. People will look for cracks, for signs of tension, for anything that can link back to that confession. Isn't it exhausting to live under that kind of magnifying glass? Yet it's also what makes their love story so fascinating to us. The fact that it's unfolding not in silence, but under the world's watchful eyes. Lovely viewers, I want to pull you in closer here. If you were Hye Kyo, would you have dared to say those words, knowing what the world would make of them? Or would you have kept them locked away in your heart, safe from judgment but heavy with silence? And if you were Min-ho, would you find comfort in her honesty, or would you secretly wish she had never said them? These are the questions that make this more than just gossip. This is a mirror into how we all handle love, honesty, and the ghosts of our pasts. What fascinates me most is how fans themselves are divided. Some are overjoyed, saying this could be the spark of reconciliation between Hye Kyo and Joong Ki. Others are fiercely protective of Min-ho, insisting that her past has no place in her present. And then there are those who simply admire her courage, saying that her words don't point to love lost or love rekindled, but to the simple truth that some people never fully leave us. Which group do you find yourself in, lovely viewers? As this story continues to ripple, I can't help but wonder what her next step will be. Will she clarify her words, explaining that she meant nothing more than a natural memory? Or will she let the confession stand, allowing the world to interpret it however it wants? Sometimes silence is the most powerful response, and perhaps she knows that the more people talk, the more her words will linger. And here's a thought I leave with you. Maybe what makes this confession so powerful is not what it reveals about her relationship with Joong Ki or Min-ho, but what it reveals about her humanity. Song Hye Kyo, the superstar, the icon, the woman we all admire, stood in front of the world and reminded us that she too remembers. She too reflects, she too is haunted by the echoes of the past. Isn't that what connects us to her? Not her perfection, but her vulnerability. Lovely viewers, this confession will not fade quickly. It will be remembered, replayed, analyzed, and felt for a long time to come. And as it continues to echo, it reminds us all that love, whether past, present, or future, is never simple, never neat, and never completely forgotten.